Alright, well, I haven't done one of these in a while, but I'm back with an anime review. The kind of anime I normally wouldn't watch, but, this anime is making history right now, so I'm like, well, because of my FOMO, because I gotta try to understand, what makes things sell, what makes them popular, especially when it comes to, anime. Decided I had to watch this. I tried to be open-minded about it as I was watching it. The show, honestly, it doesn't need any introduction. I'm assuming if you click this, then you've already seen the whole thing. I'm assuming if you've clicked this, you're already an anime fan and you've seen tons of anime. I don't have to waste my time with spoilers, pretending that you don't know certain things about how anime works and how the anime industry works and stuff. But this is a title. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, which I'm pretty sure is just Japanese for Slayer of Demons. And then the Demon Slayer, when they translated it into English, they put the Demon Slayer moniker in front of it. I think in Japan they just call it Kimetsu no Yaiba. And it needs no introduction. I don't think there's ever been an anime in such a short amount of time. The last one was Attack on Titan, which the world kind of stopped for a bit when Attack on Titan came out. And Attack on Titan got a whole new generation of people into anime, and I think anime's popularity as a whole tentupled. Because after Attack on Titan, you had Parasite and Tokyo Ghoul and JoJo. And in particular, edgy anime started to come back because I'm 28 now, I'm almost 30. I wouldn't say I'm old, but I'm definitely older. In my opinion, you aren't old until you're 10 years from death's door. That's officially when it's you're on your way out. But I'm still alive, and I've been alive. And unlike most people in my age group, I still watch anime. I think most people in my age group that watch anime probably haven't watched an anime since 2014. I think my age is about the age where most people get too busy with life, and their goals and objectives for their life change, and they stop watching anime, and they stop playing video games, and they get a life or whatever. They get a kid, they get a all that stuff. So I'm one of the few, I think, still trying to keep up with the latest newest anime. And I mean this thing was huge. Demon Slayer, even bigger than Attack on Titan. And I think this is yet again, there's a whole bunch of anime fans here in America that this is their first anime, and year by year the popularity of anime just kind of keeps going up. I'm going to do a review on this anime. I'm going to do my particular opinion, and then I'm going to also do an analysis on what I think made it so big. So enough wasting time, I guess. Enough blabbering. I guess we'll get into what I thought of the show. I watched all 26 episodes over the course of 3 weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks. I know for shonen, when I was growing up in high school, I watched Naruto and Bleach and stuff, and I've always liked the storytelling process of those anime. You can't really find it anywhere else. It really stood out when I first got into anime. A lot of people, from the mid 2000s, it was Naruto, of course, and I cried 3 times in the first season, and then that's when it happened. That's when anime became my biggest passion. But over the next few years, as I watched Naruto and Bleach, and some other shonen, I did get kind of tired of the youth aspect of it. And I was in high school, and I was already kind of getting tired because I was looking at how the main characters were always middle schoolers, high schoolers, and I was looking at anime and thinking of the people in Japan that make anime, and I was thinking these people know that people age, right? And people in that age range from 8 to 18 or whatever, they're a minority. They make up 18% of the population. People from the age of 0 to 18 make up 14% of the world's population. So it did kind of confuse me why they were always aiming for this demographic. Despite me getting into the stories and stuff, and at times I found the characters hard to relate to just because of I don't know, like they're always brimming with excitement and passion and stuff, and you know, the adults were always all grumpy and stuff, and it's just kind of like, I mean, I'm an adult, and you know, I work hard for things. You know, I wake up in the morning despite things seeming like hard and bleak. Like adults do that too. Adults strive for things, but it was always the kids that were like striving for things. And even me, I was like 17 years old when I was thinking, like, you know, this is kind of like insultful. Like, they're making it look like the moment you turn 18, it's like you're 65 and you're useless and you're old and you should just retire. Like, you have no point in existing, because it's all about the little 14-year-olds and their short 4 little years that they have in high school or whatever. And then, like, at the beginning of the show, the adults, both the good adults and the bad adults, they're always strong, you know, stronger than the kids. But then by the end of the show, all the kids have just surpassed the adults. So, like, the kids train for like 2 years, and then these adults who have been like fighting and stuff for like 20 years just get one-upped. And then they make jokes about that in the anime, how the kids are always surpassing, you know. And I don't know, there's a lot of adults out there that have like wasted their lives, I guess, and you know, I'd almost root for those adults who have wasted their lives and then suddenly decide they want to do something with their lives, but they only have so much time to do it. I don't know. I don't know. It's a nitpicky thing. I guess I got kind of sidetracked there about why I have issues with shonen. But you know, I went into this trying to be like open-minded. Guess to sum up what my thoughts of the whole thing is, like, it was all right. The story was all right. The animation was absolutely phenomenal. I knew that going into it. I knew the studio that made it, UFO Table, that make the Fates series. I know they're like top tier. So I thought, you know, like in the first like 16 or 17 episodes or whatever, I felt like it was kind of dragging its feet a bit. And they introduced the characters Zenitsu and Inosuke. And, you know, things got a little more exciting there. And then they had, like, the big four. Like, I knew about the infamous episode 19 that everybody talks about. Like, the world stopped, like, all over, like, Reddit and shit. It was, like, episode 19. You guys see episode 19? Oh, my God, episode 19. And I watched episode 19 knowing that the action and all that was going to be over the top. But, you know, there's little complaints that people really don't think about. Really, really ass-pulley shit. So I think, prior to episode 19, there's this random demon slayer that comes out of the woods, and he's all grinning about to go at Rui. Like, I'm assuming, like I said, everyone's already seen this anime, so I don't have to explain shit. Like, everyone who's watching this has seen it. But, like, Rui, he comes out of nowhere, or no, this demon slayer comes out of nowhere and tries to go at Rui, and he's like, ha, yeah. All the other demon slayers are dead, but I bet, you know, I can beat them. So it was like what they called the Worf effect, which goes back to like Star Trek Next Generation, where there was this character named Worf who was like the strongest character, but he was always the first one to get beat, and they let him get beat just to show off how powerful the villain was. And that's exactly what it was. This random demon slayer, it's a classic right out of the book of stereotypical tropes. He comes out of nowhere and runs at Rui, and Rui just turns him into red paste with his spider webs. But, like, on top of it being stereotypical, which I don't mind that. I don't mind if they do a Worf effect once in a while. But what really got me was, so earlier, like 4 episodes earlier, when the main characters entered the forest, like, there's all these demon slayers, and they're all pissing their pants because of that spider lady who was turning people into puppets. And they were all pissing their pants, and there was that one character, Murata, who, like, he fought through his fear. Like, that was a pretty good character moment. Like, he was scared and stuff, but he was trying his best. But, like, everyone was afraid. Like, they didn't show a single demon hunter, like, smirking and, like, being like, yeah, I got this. And so here comes this one demon slayer out of nowhere, acting cocky and confident. I'm like, excuse me, didn't you just establish, like, 4 episodes ago that all these kids are pissing their pants? Like, why is this one guy confident? And it was such poorly written, like, excuse just to show off, like, how strong Rui was. And then, so back to episode 19, when Tanjiro's fighting him, they pulled the whole. You see it so much times in anime, like you saw it in the Naruto versus Pain fight in Naruto, where Naruto suddenly sees an image of his dad. It's like, yeah, it turns out I was the Hokage and you're my son, and hey, I know you have the strength in you. And then Naruto summons some new power and like beats Pain. They did the exact same thing here. And then Nezuko, the girl, she saw it too, so they doubled it. She saw a vision of her mother. It's like, oh, you have to help your brother. And then she suddenly has one of the blood demon arts that all the demons had. Like, she suddenly just had it, and then they go at Rui. And yeah, it all looked good. The animation was cool. You know, like... But it was just such a convenient, like, ass pull. And I've seen that trope way too many times, and it definitely, like... I don't know, it just kind of took away, like I know a lot of people are getting like really emotionally attached to like these characters and stuff, but I guess it just shows how long I've been watching anime. I've been watching anime for like 15 years, and I've seen this enough times where like it works, but at the same time, like I liked the show. Like, I know it's hard to kind of relate to the characters at my age, but I liked the show. I liked the Hashira a lot. I know that they're going to get one-upped. I know I already know how this works. All the Hashira, like, the kids are just going to become more powerful than them, you know, like I said. You know, and it really, so talking about how much anime I've seen, the Hashira, definitely their influence can kind of go to Bleach, and then with the 12 captains, and then that influence can, or it was like 13 captains, and then that influence can go back to Saint Seiya, which I don't think I did a review for yet, but I need to. But they had like the 12 Knights of the Zodiac in Saint Seiya, and then the kids come in and they overpower the 12 Knights of the Zodiac. The kids come in, they overpower the 13 captains, and it's just gonna happen again in this anime. I already know. I know the manga's finished. I haven't read the manga. I read the ending was disappointing. That's what people get for like being overly excited. Kind of like Cyberpunk. Turns out Cyberpunk's good. I know the glitches are bad, but people say it's good, but it doesn't have like the role-playing people we're talking about. But I'll talk about Cyberpunk some other time. So yeah, that was my thoughts on it. It was alright. Like, actually the best was like just the last 4 episodes, because they started expanding kind of on the world a bit. They started introducing new techniques with the Hashira and the total concentration breathing constant. And they did a good job opening it up for the movie. That last episode, like, once again, animation-wise, was really impressive, and like the 4-dimensional, like, Japanese house or whatever, where Muzan showed up and was killing all the demons. That was pretty cool. That was pretty brutal. They did a good job establishing his villainousness. But yeah, it's alright. And most people in my age group who've seen it also say it's alright, but yet, even though, like, in my opinion, and in some people's opinion, like, it's alright, the people that have seen so many anime, like, this thing, it's about to set, like, huge records. Like, in Japan, there's the new movie that's out, and it's set by the end of the year to become the new #1 highest grossing movie, just plain movie, in theaters in Japan of all time. And this is during the quarantine stuff, which I know Japan's pretty far out of that. Like, they've done really good, and they're pretty much out of quarantine. Like, all their theaters are open for business, I'm pretty sure. But, like, that's still just an achievement. Just, like, the #1 selling movie of all time. And it's a fucking cartoon, right? This is what the world's coming to. This newest generation, like Generation Z, all across the world. Like, they're gonna grow up, and then Generation A2 will come along, and then it will be even more popular with them. Because, I mean, I remember, like, there's the Gen X generation. Most of those people are, like, in their late 30s now, who grew up on, like, Dragon Ball Z and Ninja Scroll and, like, Rurouni Kenshin or whatever. Like, that was the first generation, I think, where, like, you know, DBZ and Pokemon, they put anime on the radar in America. And then my generation in the mid-2000s, we had Naruto and Bleach, and once again, it, like, tentupled. And, you know, I always thought my generation was going to be the generation to make anime mainstream, but it didn't. But now it's like I've gone on rants about this before, about how there are, like, American video game franchises that you used to not be able to find a shred of anime fan art for, where they redraw the characters, like, anime style. But now you could find that for pretty much like any series, and all these YouTubers make anime references without even having to explain what they mean. Because, I mean, it's hard to see, like, when I'm in public, like at work, like, no one I work at really watches anime, but most of the people I work with are, like, 50-something years old. But with, like, the 14-year-olds of this generation, like, all of them love anime. And it's not as popular, I guess, as I always thought I thought it was, but it's like it's getting there, and shows like this are really helping. So, my analysis for how this got so big, I think it has to do with its digestibility, and it had a strong first episode for people who like aren't used, because there's been a lot of like the first episode opens up with a lot of shock value, where they introduced Tanjiro. And he's got his family. He's got like 2 younger brothers, and I think like a younger sister and an older sister who was Nezuko. And like, I think he had a mom there, but like not the dad, which the dad was apparently a demon slayer. So I'm sure they'll explain that at some point. But the mom was there, and Tanjiro like goes into town to like get some wood or something, and he comes back. And this all happens in the first episode. He comes back, and his entire family's been killed. And his older sister's been like turned into a demon. You see like the bloody mess, and so there's a shock value there, especially for all the little, like the 12-year-old and 13-year-old Demon Slayer fans who've never seen an anime in their life. They watched it and they were like, ooh, right? You know, they gasped. Like we've all of us who watched anime for the first time, we had that moment. Like my moment was from this other anime called Blast Rider, which was a really bad. It was a horribly, like, it had the CG that was, like, horribly bad CG. The character designs were really good. There was a good premise, but it quickly was not executed properly, which was really unfortunate, but it was still, like, it really caught me in the first, like, 3-4 episodes. And I guess I'll spoil it, because you guys will probably never watch it, and it kind of sucks. But in the first episode, you have, like, this racer, this motorcycle racer, and he lost his legs in an accident when like this demon creature like came onto the track, and he had like a wife, and he was getting out of the hospital, and he was like texting his wife, or yeah, I think it was his wife, or maybe his girlfriend. And this was like my 3rd, 4th anime. I was still discovering like the maturity of like certain anime, and they expect you to have a certain amount of like emotional intelligence to like really be entertained by it. And he ends up getting his own demon powers, and he gets the ability to use his legs back, and he could drive a motorcycle again. And then he goes to see his girlfriend, and then figured out his girlfriend was cheating on him with like his manager. And that was my moment when I fucking like, oh my god, that fucking bitch. Because it's like they in the first episode and a half, they made her look like really innocent. And, you know, the signs were there, but I was kind of I rewatched it, and I realized the signs were there, but I was too young to see them. But she was acting really innocent and, like, really angelic and princess-like. And I really was not expecting to find her cheating. And, like, her attitude totally changed. And, like, the main character was, like, spying, kind of hearing her from, like, a distance. And she didn't know he was there. And she was just, the words that were coming out of her mouth were just so hideous. And that was my moment, my shock moment, where I was invested. Like, if you could start out a series with shock in like the first 20 minutes, you could really hook people. And so I think, you know, Demon Slayer had that shock. It hooked people, kind of like Tokyo Ghoul. That's another one that hooked people. And then it just stayed dark. Like, not through the entire series, but most of the series, it was pretty dark. Where, you know, Demon Slayer got out of the darkness, like, pretty quick. Because Tanjiro, like, he dedicated himself, and he, you know, got some optimism that he could like cure Nezuko, and made some friends and all of that. So he got, you know, the show got a little more lighthearted pretty quickly, but it had that strong beginning. And then the other part I think that's helped it sell is like, you know, you can, like in Japan, I know with like blood, like you can show blood and like copious amounts of blood. And like a PG series in Japan, they don't make a big deal out of blood, so they can advertise this to kids a lot in Japan. And actually, it sounds like most of the fans are kids, but there's also like moms and like parents watching it with their kids. And apparently, there's a lot of girls that like it. It's got that. I mean, I don't know. There's some series like that where, like, it's Shonen Jump, like it's aimed at boys, but for some reason it draws in a lot of girls. I know Saint Seiya did that way back in the day in Japan. In America, it's like it's everyone. It's guys, it's girls, it's pretty much everyone who's like under the age of 18, which is like 95% of anime fans. Which once again goes back to what blows my mind, because like Generation Y in high school, we had 10 times as many anime fans as like that kind of early 90s generation. But then Generation Z has like 10 times as many anime fans as Generation Y, so it keeps generation by generation multiplying. So that's why I think here in America, it's mostly people in like the teenage age group, middle school, teenage age. And I mean, it's a simple, easy to follow series with a lot of action, a lot of good looking action. Very simple. The main character wants to turn his little sister back into a human, and he's got to kind of hunt demons and go up this chain of demons. They call them the 12 Kizuki, which are like Muzan's demons. So they introduce Muzan pretty early, and then he's kind of out of the show for a lot of the show. But it's established that he needs to get the Muzan, because Muzan is the one who turned Nezuko into a demon. And then the Hashira, they did a really good job as they introduced each character. I think that's the other thing that got like the newer anime fans, is every time they introduced a new character, there was a very strong introduction. Like they introduced Zenitsu, like they really did a good job like summing up his character within like the first 5 minutes he was introduced. Same with Inosuke. They had Shibonu. I think that's what it was pronounced. Shibonu, the butterfly lady, the Ada lady. She's really cool. And they did a good job introducing her. They did a good job with Gyu in the first episode, Tomioka. And then he shows back up again, like at the beginning of like episode 20. So I think that helps for like newer anime fans that aren't familiar with, because I mean there's other shonen like Bleach and Naruto. They did a pretty good job when they had a new character introduced. They did a really good job like summing up his character. So it's easy to follow, good pacing, especially in the last 4 episodes. They really opened up the world a lot. Like the whole Hashira meeting was really tense, and I'm sure it was like super tense for people who had never seen the anime. So I think that's just it. Is this anime for people who've never seen anime? Like it had everything in it that makes anime special, that a lot of like longtime anime fans had already seen before. But a lot of people who've never have watched anime have never, seen. So, I mean, it's really hard. I'm trying to analyze it. It's really hard to understand like how it's gotten so big, and how it's only been out, like the anime came out in like early 2019, and it's already on track to like its manga sales are like getting up close to One Piece, and it's achieved that in like a year and a half. Even Dragon Ball Z, like, I've argued this with a couple people. Never argue with a Dragon Ball Z fan. They're pretty fucking stubborn people. And it's not worth it. It's just a fucking cartoon at the end. Like, all anime is just cartoons. Demon Slayer, Dragon Ball Z, none of it matters. None of it's curing world hunger, curing cancer. It's just entertainment. But Dragon Ball Z fans, they don't see it that way. They'll literally, like, beat you up if you tell them that Goku is bland or something like that. So watch out for them. They'll actually beat you up over their cartoon. But, like, even Dragon Ball Z, like, it came out in Japan. Now, granted, this was before the internet was around, so you couldn't really spread things around very fast. It didn't show up in America till, like, 7 years later. And even then, I still think it took some time on, like, being there on cable television. It still took, like, a few years for it to suddenly gain this massive following where everyone was, like, tuning in. I mean, it was beating the fucking Simpsons in its viewerships. Like, that's insane, because I remember The Simpsons was like a family thing where like every family would just, like, I'd get together with my parents and my dad would put steak on the grill and we'd watch The Simpsons. And so for Dragon Ball Z to be beating out that, like, such a big family thing at the time, like, that's just, that was nuts. But this Demon Slayer thing, it's like, it's insane. So I'm planning on seeing the movie, you know, the movie that's made history. I'm sure I'm gonna be surrounded by like 14-year-olds, but maybe there'll be like a couple 18-year-old, at least 18. I don't know. It's kind of I'm 28, so I mean, maybe if she was more like 20 or 22, just so like she was kind of more of an adult. She maybe had a job, had gone to college. Like 19, 18 might be a little too young to get pictures with, but if there's a girl dressing up as Mitsuri, Shinobu, Tamayo, Nezuko, as long as they don't look like too young, if you know what I'm saying. As long as they don't look too young, I'm going to try to get a picture with one of those girls. Kanayo. I remember, I tried to memorize the name of like all the girls. Just so I could, when the conventions open up again, be like, hey, I like your insert character cosplay, because the most popular female characters in anime are going to be the one that the most amount of girls are going to be dressing up as. So if I could just know those female characters, I could actually walk up to those girls and know what I'm talking about, and not pretend to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I don't know much else what I can say about Demon Slayer. I don't know what I can say, you know, how it got so big, and like what comes next. Like, what's the next Demon Slayer gonna be? Like, and I'm sure in the next couple years another one will already come out, because it seems, I know with Gen Z it's always moving on to the next thing and then the next thing and the next thing. And that's one of the reasons a lot of shonen series have always sold so well. It's because they keep going and going and going, and so people get invested. But this literally took 24 episodes. It took 24 episodes to become just like the new biggest thing in anime ever. But I'm sure in another few years there'll be a new biggest thing in anime ever, because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We live in a different era, and people are always moving on to the next thing and the next thing. And in 5 years, I bet people will just forget about Demon Slayer, both in like Japan and in America. Like, they'll just forget. Like 10, 20 years from now, they might crack it back open, and by that time, they'll probably won't be watching it. Like, their time will come too. Like, Gen Z's time will come when they hit like 30 or 40 years old, where they just stop caring and they stop keeping up to date with the newest anime, and they revert back to nostalgia, and they watch all the series they watched in high school or whatever. So, but I mean, each generation though, the things that they're loving. Like, I guess there's one more thing I can say on the analysis part. So I was texting my dad and talking about Star Wars, and I was running by the idea that maybe Star Wars popularity was less of a quality thing and more of a timing thing, because there have been science fiction or just like things that take place in space on spaceships with like futuristic guns and stuff. There's been things like that going back to like the 50s and 60s. There was this movie called like The Forbidden Planet, which I watched it. It was pretty decent, nice little plot, nice little science fiction concept. But nobody knows it exists except for like movie makers. Like, especially like, I'm sure George Lucas or whoever wrote Star Wars, they saw like Forbidden Planet. There was another movie called Jason and the Argonauts, which was Greek mythology. So there's your fantasy, right? Fantasy films and movies had existed prior to Star Wars. And Jason and the Argonauts, there was a lot of work that went in there with the claymation and practical effects and all that. You know, so they existed, but they didn't really like blow up. But then, like my dad was talking about, Jaws came out in theaters, and a lot of people stopped to go see Jaws. You know, Jaws, they say, invented the term blockbuster, where people were lining up around the sidewalk, which movies had never really had enough. I guess prior to that, there was never enough people in movie theaters to have them lining up around the block. It was just, movies were just kind of a niche thing. Like most people in the 40s or 50s or whatever, they just went outside. They went outside and they played outside, and they played pickup sticks, and they played baseball and football and all of that, like actual normal people, right? But then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, it's just one of those generation by generation things, because Star Wars came out in the 70s, and then you look at the 80s, and you look at the big explosion of like really good movies in the 80s. And I remember Attack on Titan, like conveniently after Attack on Titan, there was all these other really great anime. Like, I remember from like 2009 to like 2012, there were just 4 years of just kind of dumb anime that like no one cared about. Or like it developed like there was Haruhi Suzumiya and like Clannad and stuff, and there was people that got like obsessed with that, but it was a very small group of people that like got obsessed. And it was those same group of people that were hating on Attack on Titan when Attack on Titan was actually like a serious, like edgy show, and everybody loved it. I remember the hipsters that were hating on Attack on Titan were those people. The people that were hating on like Haruhi, or the people that liked Haruhi and Clannad and stuff. But then Attack on Titan, though, despite all that, like, it created an explosion where suddenly we had Tokyo Ghoul, we had Parasite, we had Log Horizon, Sword Art Online. And I mean, those almost seem to be more like convenient, like they're conveniently came out like very marketable anime for the same kind of people that like Attack on Titan. But I imagine after Demon Slayer, like, I know I was reading in Japan, they saw the effect like the Demon Slayer anime had, because this was a manga before it was an anime, and it was a Shonen Jump manga, and it wasn't selling very well at all, I think. And I wouldn't doubt that Shonen Jump was about ready to pull it. And then the anime came out, and it just shows the difference, like a really strong presentation, really good script writing, really good screenwriting, really good animation, how that can bring a story to life in like a new way. So I mean, yeah, we're living in crazy times. The quarantine's making things all screwy, but then like anime is like, we got like Netflix and Amazon like looking at this. Like Netflix made like a big deal recently with like all these anime studios. Crunchyroll and Funimation are merging again. I remember when they merged back in like 2015 maybe, and for a while you were able to watch like everything you wanted on one service. Shows were getting dubbed like the day they came out, which is what dubs need, because I've talked about like whether you like dubs or not, like they are not going to survive in this generation. With Generation Z, they're not going to survive unless they can release a dub at the exact same time that they release a new episode of the first version of the Japanese version. Because like, I don't mind dubs. I maybe watch Demon Slayer in dub one day. I know some of the characters, the voice actors they choose weren't good decisions. I know Zenitsu is really good. I've seen the videos of the Zenitsu English dub, and that guy, the guy who plays Zenitsu, like, he is, he's a good guy, like, to really work that hard with, like, his screaming and stuff. And like, I'm not a good like actor, kind of like, I'm like, I can like act like, I guess, and like yell and scream and stuff when I'm with the right group of friends, but like forcing myself to like yell or scream into a microphone, like I can't really do that unless I'm really in the mood. But this guy can do it on command. The guy who voices Zenitsu, like on command, he's awesome. But all the other characters are kind of maybe they can get better. I don't know, but they just need, and they need more dub voice actors. Like, they need to stop using the same 8 voice actors over and over. And there'll be anime where they'll have like one voice actor voice 5 different characters, but in the Japanese version, they never do that. That's just such a cheap thing to do. That shows a lack of willingness to spend money from Funimation to have one voice actor voice 5 characters, and I hate that. I hate that so much. So yeah, we got that going on where Funimation and Crunchyroll are coming together. Netflix is trying. Fuck Polygon Studios. Netflix just needs to like stop making deals with Polygon Studios. Fuck Polygon Studios. Fuck all of their shitty CG throwaway anime. I hate them. Netflix, for a while, it's been the second worst thing to happen to anime in America next to Amazon, which that also blows my mind. Like, Amazon's the richest company in the world, and they did that anime strike thing, and their fucking double paywalling was absolutely fucking horrendous, and they haven't dubbed a single one of their anime that they bought, and they never will. And I know after a year they dropped Anime Strike, and I think they've just dropped anime, period. Like, they uploaded like Vinland Saga. Like, fuck Amazon. Fuck what Amazon did to Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga should have been so much bigger than it was, but it's because it was on what a lot of anime fans are calling the anime graveyard, which is Amazon Prime, Amazon Video. And this is the richest company in the world, where if you look through their products, like, they have literally the most convenient product buying engine ever. They have like everything you can need. They're constantly working on like new ways to service customers. They have some sort of survey you can take. A friend told me about, where you can make like $40 a month by just taking this survey that like takes a couple hours. If you're really that desperate for money, you can make $40 a month with this survey. Like, they have all sorts of stuff like that, and they say they're so dedicated to their customers, yet I've never seen an American company that has licensed Japanese animation. I have never seen a company treat the fans, treat the customer, treat the consumer with less respect than Amazon. That was horrible. And I think they're done with the anime. Like, I haven't heard any anime getting announced that are going to be on Amazon. They had like a year or two's worth of new anime showing up on Amazon after Anime Strike fell through. But I've noticed recently there hasn't been any announcements, and I think that those anime that they put on, like Psycho-Pass Season 3, which is another one which should have been bigger, it should have been more popular and more talked about, but because it wasn't on Crunchyroll or Funimation, no one knows it exists. It's a ghost. No one in America, at least. Like, I think they're just done. I think those anime were supposed to be through Anime Strike, but it's like, well, we already licensed them, so now we just have to take a hit, and now we have to put them on our channel. So Amazon lost a little bit of money there. There's probably no sweat off their backs. It's probably the equivalent of a penny for them, how much money they lost there. But I wouldn't doubt that Amazon might try to, like, get back into anime again. I mean, the only good thing about it was at least someone who was choosing what anime to license, at least they knew what the kind of good anime were going to be that I think would, like, a lot of the anime they got, I think would sell more with, like, an older Western audience. I almost feel like they were trying to pick anime that were targeted for, like, a Western audience that was more in, like, their 20s and 30s, you know, at least trying to, like, market that, because that would be my dream. If I ever made an anime, my dream is to get to market towards people in, like, their 20s and up, like 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I'd have all my main characters be adults. I think 21, 22, 23, I think that's a good age for, like, a protagonist. I mean, protagonist in, like, any, you know, most stories, I think. But that's, in Western movies, that's the stereotypical age, it seems, for, like, a main character is, like, 20-ish. And maybe I'd have, like, one teenage character who would be more of, like, that endearing, almost kind of like Sam from Lord of the Rings. And, well, anyway, I kind of went off on a little rant there about the state of anime in 2020. Well, I mean, we're going into 2021. 2021's coming up, so we'll have to see what happens with the anime. Maybe demand will create, like, a Demon Slayer sequel because of some high demand. I don't know. It confuses me, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense that, like, Demon Slayer is so big. So I guess that's all I can really say. Next on my list, I'm gonna watch the first season of Promised Neverland. I know the second's coming out. There's this girl I was talking to on Tinder who watched Promised Neverland. I think I'm gonna watch it in English dub and just lie and pretend I watched it in sub, because people will literally, like, hate you for watching dubs. And I mean, for the record, if I would have been really interested in Promised Neverland when it was coming out, and I wanted to, you know, I wouldn't have waited around, and I would have watched episode by episode in Japanese. And by the time the dub came out, it wouldn't have even mattered, because I'd already seen all the episodes like 2 times. And that's the problem with dubs, is you can't wait anymore. You can't wait half a year. You can't even wait 2 weeks. You can't wait 1 week. You can't even wait 1 day. You need to have the newest episode of an anime dubbed the day it comes out if you want even a chance of people, someone getting on the Funimation app, some 14-year-old, and just being curious and seeing a new premiere anime and be like, you know what, I'm curious. How will this sound in dub? And then they switch it to the dub language option because it's actually fucking available for the first episode, the premiere episode. And then they might end up watching it and unironically end up finding themselves, like, invested in the dub. And then they're like, alright, I'm going to watch the dub for the next episode. Like, when the next episode comes out, I'll watch the dub. But you have to dub it the day it comes out. You have to dub it. That's the only way to save dubs. Funimation. That's the only way. You can only mooch off that Dragon Ball Z generation that refuses to watch anime in Japanese. You could only mooch off that generation for so long. That generation is falling away from you. A lot of those guys, they got like 3 kids now. They got a house. They got to fix the roof. You know, all that kind of stuff. So you got to start focusing more on Gen Z. If you want to create dubs, like, all the Gen Zs, like, make fun of dubs. You gotta give the Gen Z a reason to stop making fun of dubs. You gotta give Gen Z a reason to watch dubs. Because the generation that comes after it will kill them. It will kill dubs. So I know Funimation's never gonna hear this, but I had to go on a rant again. I'm gonna have to rename this video now to just like a big giant discussion about anime in general. But yeah, Demon Slayer, if you haven't seen it, don't lie to me, you've seen it. Like everyone's, I mean, there's those couple of hipsters and those people in like their late 20s who have never seen Demon Slayer, but I'm like, I decided to humble myself and watch this, and I'm gonna watch Promised Neverland, because this girl I was talking to on Tinder watched it. I'm gonna pretend I watched it in Japanese and text her about it. I already watched the first episode, and I texted her a bit about the first episode. I'm pretty sure it's just a conversation. I'm pretty sure it's not going to go anywhere, but at least like I'm talking to a girl. But I need to finish the show, and I'll tell her like my whole thoughts on the show. And then after Promised Neverland, I need to watch My Hero Academia. That's gonna be a hassle, because that's a lot of episodes, and you know I gotta be up to date, because I know that's it's like the second biggest anime right now. Which that's another crazy thing, is they're pretty closely matched. But Demon Slayer did in 24 episodes, but I feel like it took My Hero Academia like 70-ish episodes, and it's still not quite as big right now as Demon Slayer is. And I mean, you have a lot more characters from the beginning in My Hero Academia, so that could be kind of a part of it, and it's like a bigger investment with like 80 episodes or whatever. But I don't know. I'll have to watch it and talk about it. But yeah, so I guess that's it. I guess I hope all you guys enjoyed my review, enjoyed my analysis, enjoyed my rant, and have a nice day.